What's up, Agents? Wolf here. Welcome to another Division 2 build video. I took a break from PvP for quite a number of weeks and I'm finally back. If you guys did not know, I have been streaming on Twitch. Link will be down below. I wanted to make a build that can finally mitigate all of the high expertise players. Because one thing I noticed is when I came back, a lot of my builds just weren't working. I was too squishy. Because everyone has had enough time to level up their expertise, I'm only level 8. But some people are upwards of level 15 to 20, they beam you, they melt you. There's so much damage in this game. And I think that's due to the fact that weapon damage increase with the expertise on weapons is better than armor increase on the gear pieces. And I really do believe we need to get more armor, but for now, there's a lot of weapon damage in the game. So most of my builds in my loadout weren't working and I was struggling. I wanted to make a build that mitigates the current metas and allows me to actually deal with all of this damage that's going on in the game right now. And I finally found the perfect combination and I'm going to share that with you guys today. This build has helped me so much. I was able to face trade high expertise level bleed builds. You guys know the Ridgeway's Pride chest piece, the bleed builds, the normal ones are Sadist from us. I was able to face tank players using that build, and this is a crit build. I have got 1.8 million armor, and I was able to face trade that build. Never before have I been able to do that because that is one of the best close range builds in the game. We can also mitigate the flatline spotter, best damage meta in the game currently in PvP, because we are actually immune to pulse. So we can face trade any bleed build, any pulse build. To be honest, most builds that I came across in the Dark Zone so far and in Conflict, I was able to completely mitigate or beat the players. And I was able to actually fight multiple agents in one go because of the mask I've got, which I'm going to show you, the Catharsis mask. This build has helped me so much in the Dark Zone since, well, seeing as though expertise is very powerful right now. If you guys are struggling to survive, I'm sure a lot of you are. This build, this PvP build, will help you immensely. So I'm going to talk about it quickly, showcase some gameplay, and we'll go through it in detail. So hopefully you guys do enjoy the video. If you do, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe. This is the build here. So we have got the Kingbreaker with perfect flatline, arguably the best gun in the game. With the linked laser pointer, I can hit huge numbers on players. This is going to be a must-have. Now, I don't have spotter with this is because to mitigate the chance of other players also having pulse resistance that will be resistant to my spotter and my flatline. What I do is if I see a player is immune to pulse, all I do is I swap my gun. Because I've got Unbreakable, which normally wins a 1v1 all the time, I don't have to worry about not dealing damage or not having a chest piece talent at all. So going up against other players who also have pulse res, this works great because I swap to my secondary. You can have a FAMAS with Optimist, for example, not just the EB if you don't have it. So that's the great thing about running this weapon whilst not just focusing or relying on spotter as well, is because other players could also mitigate pulse. We mitigate pulse with the 3-piece Jarl, guys. I currently only have 90% pulse res. That's because if I see a Heartbreaker player, I will put a 10% pulse res mod on my mask, for example, to make it 100% because it's currently 90. Against spotter builds, the spotter player and the flatline talent only has damage to me for like 1 or 2 bullets and then it disappears because it's the duration. So the more pulse res you have, the more the less time you spend pulse. So with 90% it's more than enough, but for Heartbreaker, try and get it to 100%. Just test it for yourself. I find 90% to be perfect. So we have got a way of mitigating the pulse, which is the Jarl 3-piece right here. So there are different ways you can structure this build. I've gone for the Catharsis mask. This is an absolute must. We get huge amounts of weapon damage and we can heal ourselves. This has been clutch for me so many times. You don't have to use it, but I recommend giving it a try. When you guys watch the gameplay, you will see how much I can mitigate the damage through healing myself and how much damage I get when a player is actually shooting me. Because we're so tanky, it means we can tank more damage, therefore get more procs of the mask, more damage for our weapon, and more survivability from the armor regain for that little green cloud that's dropped. So with the rest of the pieces now, it's up to you. If you have a Matador could be even better for more survivability, but this will give you 5% more weapon damage. So it's up to you if you want more damage or more survivability. Also, what you could do is instead of a Jarl knee pad, you can put a Jarl bag and then put Fox's Prayer knee pads, and then you can go for Cheska gloves. The reason why you need Cheska is because we need to get that crit chance to get at least 56% for our weapons. Otherwise, the crit build, which this is a crit build, won't work as well. So you can switch it up how you want, Matador or Fox's Prayer. I wanted to make it like this because this is different to the one I've posted before. I have posted a multiplicative build with Contractors and Fox's Prayer. If you guys want to see it, link will be in the description. But this just works perfectly in the current state of the game. This is one of the builds where you put these on and you go in the dark zone. Guys, honestly, you will feel the power of this build. It's just, it amazed me, and it's going to be one of my new main builds. So enjoy the gameplay, guys, and we'll get back shortly with the description.
Rogue Defender drone detected. Agent killed. An agent needs assistance. System restored. Agent down. Boost about to activate.
Specialization supply drop has been arranged for you.
Rogue Striker drone detected. Rogue Stinger Hive detected. Vital signs critical. Helo is headed back. Rogue artillery turret detected. Rogue Stinger Hive detected. Rogue Defender drone detected. Extraction called for. Rogue explosive trap detected.
En Honda.
Hopefully you did enjoy the gameplay. The specialization is going to be technician. Main reason is because of the linked laser pointer. As you can see, you don't have to have rifle damage to have it activated. Just activate the rifle, put it on, and then put the mod on one of your guns and then switch over. It should work, or log out, log back in. Somehow, I don't know how I've actually done this, but normally it just stays unlocked. So just give it a go. We also get an extra skill tier, which is very, very nice. Everything else isn't too important. Just make sure whatever gun you're using, you have the corresponding weapon damage for that type of weapon. So, as I mentioned before, there are different ways you can run this. Try and get a Matador with crit damage and crit chance so you can roll a blue. I haven't got one. I think that's going to be really difficult, but that's only if you want more survivability. You get some extra percentages in your bonus armor. So, the main reason for this build, as I was talking about in the beginning of the video, is to survive the current damage meta and still be able to outplay or out damage players. This build just has everything. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, what about hazard protection? You can still get foamed, you can still get put on fire and put on bleed. The problem in this game is you can't do everything, and that's the only issue. But we do have the booster hive to mitigate that. So the booster hive will take away or cleanse us from status effects. The decoy will hide us to get close to players or get away from players. What I found is this is really, really good if you keep your distance, because a lot of people, especially spotter players with flatline, they won't be doing damage to you, so they'll just focus you. And if you face trade a spotter player, you will win 100% of the time. And the great thing about this build is because of the way I've set it up, you can face trade the bleed builds up close or any kind of high crit SMG build. So let's take a look at the build, from each individual piece. So the Kingbreaker, as I mentioned before, you can use whatever gun you want. I have chosen this to make use of that perfect flatline. If someone's got pulse resistance, you will notice it. They will stop glowing. I switched to my FAMAS with Optimist or whatever other gun you want to be using. Just remember, we've got Fenris, so just put a Sokolov, for example, if you wanted to use a SMG. So damage 2 targets out of cover. When you're modding the gun, make sure you guys also put plus 20 rounds and linked laser pointer with crit chance modifications. Secondary is the Eagle Bearer. What I normally do, like I said, swap to it if I see the enemy's pulsed, or just change your guns. If the enemy is not getting pulsed, switch to your EB. Or if I'm fighting multiple agents, I get the EB proc, and the Adrenaline Rush will mitigate the EB debuff as well. If you guys did not know that, it's very powerful. Then the Orbit Pistol for more crit chance, or more specifically, more critical hit damage. So the pieces. Simple, the way I've set this up is to accommodate the Catharsis Mask, and the Catharsis Mask isn't always my favorite in other builds. In this build, it's an absolute must. I found this to be clutch a lot of the time. Unfortunately, it comes with armor regen, incoming repairs, which doesn't help us too much. The regen's all right. Crit damage modification on this. Vicious Cycle, guys, this is really, really good. We get 30% weapon damage, and we also trigger 5% of our max armor. This is very beneficial because we can tank more damage and we get 5% of max armor for 10 seconds, which is a lot because we have got 1.8 million armor on this build. I recommend going full blues these days. It's very good, unless obviously you want to melt players with a different kind of red build, but this all the time will win in a 1v1 or a phase trade. It's very powerful. So if you take a look at the 3-piece yarn, I've got the chest, the holster, and the knee pads. The chest modification is 12% crit damage. We have got critical hit damage and critical hit chance on every piece on the build, basically. That's all you need to know, really, on the attribute side. Because we want to make this into a crit build, we don't want to focus on headshots because headshots are not as strong as what they used to be. So Unbreakable is just too good in PvP. Just make sure you guys have a look at the stats in PvP mode. There we go. So it's not what it said it was. It's now 50% of your armor. So this is just, it gives you a second life. I think Unbreakable is very, very powerful. That's why I prefer this over Spotter, is because a lot of other players will have some sort of pulse resistance. Therefore, Spotter might be too situational, whereas with a gun, you can quickly swap. With this, you can, but I wouldn't recommend swapping out your chest pieces mid-fight. I don't recommend that. So Unbreakable is just really good all around, one of the best talents in the game for PvP. The holster, crit damage, crit chance, Jarl. Don't forget, guys, the Jarl gives you Hasbro, weapon damage, and pulse resistance, which is what we want. The specialization gives us the rest of the pulse res, which is 50%. Therefore, we have got currently 90%, as you can see. There. Then the knee pads, crit damage, and crit chance. So like I said before, the way you set this build up is dependent on what you want to get from it. So if I swap this around and I use a Jarl backpack and I use multiplicative damage like Fox's Prayer and Contractor's Gloves, I will hit less damage than this build on crits. On non-crits, it's a different story. So it depends on your RNG, but with this build, you will get much higher crit damage than with the multiplicative damage because we don't, or from Contractors and Fox's Prayer, because we don't have that many multiplicative elements on this build. For example, we don't have Spotter, things like that, or Intimidate. So we won't be benefiting that much from them. So it's up to you how you want to set the structure up. I prefer to have a Cheska. I think a Cheska is a must-have to get the crit chance. We've got everything rolled, crit chance, crit damage, and we got crit chance on our gun. The Catharsis is one of the reasons why we don't have the max crit chance. So right now, with everything put on without any crit chance mods on our gear, which is important, we've got just enough, 57% crit chance. So I think Cheska is a must. It's up to you if you want to use the Matador backpack, if you can get one, and if you want to use situational and sometimes less damage Fox's Prayer knee pads, which probably would be the best option. Contractors is all right. The gloves for extra armor, damage to armor. That's up to you, but the way you structure it is dependent on what you want to get from the build. But I'd highly recommend, and trust me on this, give this option a try. It works incredibly well, and I prefer this. So we have got a bit of extra damage from the bag. So it is, like, once again, crit damage, crit chance on the gloves with the 10% crit chance from the Cheska. And the backpack has got the Adrenaline Rush, which is very nice. So let's have a look at it in PvP. So it is actually 10% bonus armor for 5 seconds, stacks up to 3 times, 30% bonus armor. This mitigates the EB debuff, and it counts as a separate entity. Bonus armor is a separate entity to the player. So some talents won't even proc on you if you've got bonus armor. That's why this talent is so good. Crit damage and crit chance. We have got a crit damage modification. Fenris for that 10% assault rifle damage with armor. Everything rolled blue. So my skills, I've got the decoy, duration and health is probably what you want to go for there. And this, range, health, and duration, I would recommend for the booster. So the current mods I've got on it, I don't have the best modifications. Health, you see I've got stinger charges, forget about that. You could put range on it. It's up to you guys. Or stim charges as well. Stim charges could be really good. So just depending on what kind of mods you've got. Let's take a look at the stats now. So we have got 57% crit chance, 138 crit damage, which is actually really good considering how much we can mitigate with this build. You can pause the video if you want to see any other statistics. With this, we have got 4.5k regen. We have got some incoming repairs, doesn't help us too much. Pulse, explosive resistance 10%, 20% hazard protection, pulse resistance 90%. Like I said, you don't need 100, but it's up to you to gauge on who you're fighting. If you need a 10% mod, have one ready to put it on. Then the rest of the skills, you guys can pause the video. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. This build blew my mind when I put it on. That's why I wanted to showcase this build. It's not something I would normally actually recommend or use myself, but once I tried the pieces, because I did try a different host of combinations, but this one just worked the best for me. Put it on, give it a try, and hopefully you guys will dominate the Dark Zone. So let me know with a comment down below. If you did, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and we'll be seeing you in the next video. Peace out, guys.